at Clover Park Technical College. I am glad to be here today and introduce this next session. The session is called Developing OER AI Literacy Content for the Communication Basic Course. And I'd like to introduce Dr. Tiffany Petricini, who is an associate teaching professor at Penn State University. So we give you a very warm welcome, Dr. Petricini.
Yeah, thanks, James. I'm going to go ahead and get my screen shared and get everything up and ready here and just testing. Are you able to see my screen?
Now we can see it.
You can't or you can?
Oh, we can.
Okay, sorry, my hearing isn't great, so I'm assuming that's a yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you. Okay. So I try to be mindful that I'm probably going to be preaching to the choir for this presentation. And I was hopeful instead to maybe focus more on exactly what this is all about, this entire project. And so I know that you all here know about OER and you know about AI, but what I hope to bring to the table is my research on equity, my research on access, and then my expertise in the field of communication. And so, just a little bit more of an introduction. I am an associate teaching professor at Penn State Erie, which is the Barron campus. I teach in communication and media studies. For all of Penn State University, though, I'm the co-chair of the Joint Standing Committee on Artificial Intelligence. I lead our campus task force on artificial intelligence integration. And then I lead several communities of practice, and I'm dabbling in all kinds of research related to AI. So that's sort of just my AI orientation. I do other things related to technology and relationships, but I would say that what's most important is that I'm coming at this today from a lens of thinking about culture and how our communication practices can shape culture and how culture then shapes those. So here's what I'll talk about. I'm going to go over the research that we've done at Penn State, or that I've done, because there's been a lot of research at Penn State. And I hope to open up the need. Why do we need an OER AI literacy somehow like embedded in the basic course of communication? Why would that be the case? And then I'm going to overview our development of the project so far. And I really hope there's time at the end to have some conversation and to learn from you all for this part in the process where we're at with the book. I'm going to demo, well, not demo, I'm going to highlight some of the features that I hope will make this book really stand out. And then I'll just talk about the next stage and where we're at. So again, preaching to the choir, but I'm trying to develop the need here. Part of what has informed this book is that AI literacy needs to be happening now. It cannot wait. There is huge demand from employers in multiple different sectors, and it goes beyond just students knowing how to use the tools. We need to be able to have a sense of fluency for our students when they're entering the workforce, but also ethical reasoning. And I was really excited to see the White House just released in the Federal Register, just their definition of AI and sort of the call for comment. And they mentioned in that actual definition of AI literacy that it includes durable skills and it also includes ethics. So it was very exciting for me. So we also know that communication is a durable skill, critical thinking, the ability to collaborate, listening well. And when we look at what is important to employers, one of the fastest growing job skills that has hit since the generative AI boom is communication skills. Surprise. So another fact or another tidbit to this that's important is that in our research, we surveyed students for 2 years, and we're going into our year 3 study now. And the hope was to understand perceptions about artificial intelligence. And so, just a little bit of background on this. When ChatGPT came out at the end of November in 2022, my husband is a systems engineer. He works in IT. And he came to me and he said, "You won't believe this." And he said, "Your students are going to be using it." And I played around. I was skeptical. I fed it my final essay prompt for my students, and it was A work. It was already at that point in time A quality work. I was like, uh-oh, okay. So then over the course of the next month, when break was happening, I was watching lots and lots of headlines, and it was New York City schools, bans Gen AI tools, and that was just popping up. And that got me curious with all the time I have over break to sort of think about, oh, what best practices are there and what is the evidence that supports banning it? And of course, I'm sure as you all can guess, there wasn't any. And so that's what really prompted me to want to understand what is driving then these responses to AI. So a lot of it is fear, but when it comes to student cases and student perceptions, some of that fear is actually grounded in some reality. Students in general in our studies, both years, don't believe that they're being prepared for AI use. And we can see gaps. These gaps, I'm sorry, we don't see gaps. These gaps persist. They persist across majors, across various campuses, and across delivery modes. Students are very afraid that AI is going to replace them. And we see there was a future of jobs report that was recently released. 58% of college graduates do not have a job after the first year. That's crazy. And then of those college students who have jobs, the majority of them don't require a university degree, higher education degree. So we're not preparing them right now, and their perceptions are grounded in reality. And that's sort of part of this conversation about AI literacy. There's not time to embed it in curriculum, to create these massive gen eds that are brand new to sort of get AI literacy into the hands of everyone. And so the idea of trying to have AI literacy at scale points to a deeper problem. In another research study that we underwent, we were trying to understand faculty, staff, and student perceptions of educational equity when it comes to artificial intelligence. And one of the most important things that we found is that faculty and staff are most concerned with students having access to the tools. That's what equity looks like. But for students, that's not at all what it looks like. They already know they have access. That's not the problem. So instead, for students, what they mostly focus on is flourishing. So they're more worried about inequities in skills and inequities in outcomes. If I don't get the skills and someone else does, then I'm not going to be prepared. And that makes total sense based on our previous research. We also think about what students are facing right now, and I think it would be really confusing. I raised my niece, and she's 19, and she's in college. And if you have five or six, in some cases, different instructors, and each instructor has a different AI policy, it's so difficult to navigate that. But then imagine one student who, by chance, has five instructors who are pro empowering students with artificial intelligence, and another student who has the same set of classes but different instructors who all ban AI. This is a major problem, and inequities are starting to pop up at this micro level. Instructor choices to either use or not use AI, they can have a huge impact on students and their futures. So the risk here is that AI literacy becomes a marker of privilege between students, between institutions, between nations. So we've got to do something about it. So another interesting study that we did was ask faculty about their AI policies, and we looked at their AI syllabus policies. And I just did a new study, and this is not published, but we used AI to extract and then analyze syllabi statements. 70% of instructors use AI statements, which is good. Of those 75% of instructors, the majority use language that indicates that they don't trust their students. So this is using the negative trust indicators might be like AI is banned, students can't use it. If you're going to use it, I'll tell you when to use it. And this is in line with our earlier research, which basically shows that most policies right now tend to default to prohibition or punishment. Rarely are they proactive in the sense that they might allude to the fact that they might be learning how to use AI well. Typically, the statements lack reflection or ethical application. And I'm sure this isn't surprising, but there are institutional templates for syllabi language, so that's not surprising. And then this reactive tone often it sort of prioritizes prevention and academic integrity over learning. And so, one last note is that related to information inequity, but also related to AI policies, one thing that we just published related to gen ed objectives and AI literacy when it's embedded into the communication basic course is that students have a lot of stress, no surprise. They have a lot of what we call techno stress, which is no surprise. That's stress related to the actual technologies and tools. Well, when we embedded AI literacy into course content, students loved it. It had no impact on their stress levels. It improved their understanding of how AI should be applied across different contexts. But the one question that really came across as just shocking to us was that they didn't actually have the opportunities to use AI after they used it. So they weren't learning how to use it in other courses, and they weren't learning and they weren't incorporating it in other projects. And so we have an issue, and this is an issue with integrative learning. So when we look at student values, sort of combining all of this research, students really do care about ethics and equity. It's not just, I think that students today, we talk a lot about they just want a credential and they like it easy. And our research doesn't support that. And our research actually, at least in the students that we surveyed and that participated in our research, their AI use really is guided by fairness, its integrity, self-improvement, thoughts about flourishing, and they're hungry. They're hungry for guidelines for ethical use. They want clear expectations, and they're also searching for opportunities to respond to practice what effective and ethical AI use looks like in their coursework. So that was the student side of this. Now I want to flip over to the faculty side of this. So when it comes to AI literacy, I'm sure all of you are in the same struggle right now. You have it's bimodal. You have a group of faculty who are hyper aware of how to use the tool. They were early adopters, and they are way past the webinars on 5 tips to get started with Copilot. We're past that. But then you have faculty who have never used Copilot, which is our institutional tool, and they don't even know how to get to the website. So this is a problem. And right now, faculty across the globe, but particularly here in the US, they are the ones that are responsible for trying to get AI literacy into the hands of students, right? That is where it's coming from right now. This is where the push is. So without the necessary amount of time to learn about these tools and without the training necessary, we don't have faculty who are empowered to then teach students how to use the tools effectively. Also, faculty tend to be distrustful and avoidance in general, at least in our research. So this is where our design came in. We really wanted to try to address the idea that faculty of all ranks and faculty who have superpowers related to AI and who have no knowledge related to AI will then be able, and even if they distrust the tools or avoid the tools, they will still be able to ensure that their students are getting the AI literacy objectives, just basic AI literacy objectives. And we sort of did this through modules. We did editable slides, rubrics, syllabus templates, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And then we also at Penn State have made this completely optional. It is not required, and there's no penalty for not using this work. So one last connection is what is the connection between AI, OER, and gen ed in this communication basic course at Penn State? CAS 100, so CAS, which stands for Communication Arts and Sciences, It's the basic public speaking course, but we actually call it effective speech. So it is a good bit more than just speaking publicly. It includes things like listening, interpersonal communication, group communication. And this is the highest enrolled course at Penn State across the board. This is the highest enrolled course. So it kind of makes sense that if we would embed it in a communications basic course, which is a gen ed at most institutions, this would have a huge impact on the most amount of students. Also, media literacy has traditionally been housed within communication studies, communication and media studies. And so it also makes a lot of sense to get it in there. So when we think about gen eds in general, this is a good way to ensure equitable exposure. If we create OERs, then we can sort of bypass some of these gaps. And it's also a relatively quick turnaround. We'll talk about the process now. So what we have then is not just this book, but what we're calling an ecosystem. We have spent a lot of time creating an actual ecosystem for students and instructors as far reaching as possible, not just for Penn State, to ensure that AI literacy will be embedded in every student's path. So we've created a student-facing, very scalable, equity-centered text and ancillary materials for instructors. And this has been built for instructor flexibility. One thing that was very important to me in the creation of this textbook is that it would be rolled out fully accessible. So faculty would not need to do anything. They wouldn't need to, all of the associated assignments that they could download, all of the materials that they may use, so rubrics, etc., everything will be accessible. We also, on the topic of accessibility, students in this who use this OER will also be part of a new initiative, which is to teach students how to create accessible materials. So we look at a chapter on presentation aids, which is traditionally students learning about how to create slides, how to use video and audio, how to use actual objects in their presentations. And we guide them through exactly why accessibility matters for that, and then how to create accessible materials. So also just a note that's really fun about this. It is also extensively peer reviewed. So we went through, I think I won't talk about this later. I think I intended to. We went through very, very extensive rounds of peer review. So there were gold standards of textbooks. Let me just look. Okay, yeah, I'll talk about that in a second. And then one last note that makes this really, really special is that it's grounded in research. We took curriculum mapping, we took the national communication expectations, we took general education objectives, we then took the AI literacy objectives out of Florida, and we sort of used all of them to map exactly where and how students would get the biggest bang for their buck and where it made sense to embed AI literacy objectives within this course. So this book I'm presenting today, and my name will be there, but this is so much more. There are so many amazing people, and I really want to make sure that as we talk about this process and as we go out there in the world, that the people who were involved in this are credited for how much hard work has gone into it. So we got very lucky because the OER initiatives at Penn State, they haven't had a lot of resources dedicated to them yet. And we've sort of been trying to find our way. So this is the first project at Penn State that is trying to not just target specific classes with grant funding, but target meta level practices. And so this is grant funded. We got I think a large grant, but it's a small grant for most institutions, to then pay authors for their input and pay peer reviewers. So we started with a textbook that is sort of a golden standard for OER and public speaking, and we remixed it. And we told authors that they have the option to completely rewrite the content, to edit the content and make it more relevant, and that was within their power. I did meet with the editor of the original textbook just to see if they were interested in being a part of the project, and they were not. We are shifting it enough though, and we're creating a brand new title, which is Beyond the Podium. Beyond the Podium. So Beyond the Podium is supposed to sort of capitalize on the idea that it is much more than just speaking to a group of people. And we capitalize that too for our peer review process. It's really important that we had experts across various different disciplines. This is related to ethics, this is related to AI, this is related to communication studies. And we also intend, and we're not to that yet, but we have a usability review. So in spring of 2026, we will be piloting this course and we will be surveying students and instructors about the experience and then revising the materials as we can to make them the most effective and helpful for students and instructors that we can do. We tried to be very mindful of students having very different comfort levels right now. I think this is changing as we move forward, and students, I'm watching more and more. I'm getting larger groups of students in my classes that are comfortable, but we're not to that point yet. So the text uses language that walks them through from beginning to very advanced ways of applying AI and thinking about AI in communication. There are teaching and learning experts who are designing pedagogically sound content for this project. So in addition to having like 15 different faculty who are writing the chapter and like 30 different peer reviewers, the Teaching and Learning with Technology group at Penn State has sort of gathered resources and gathered other individuals who are designers. They are both instructional designers and they are visual designers. There are students involved, paid students involved in this project. One is an editorial assistant. So she's read the book, she participates in the creation of the book. Two other students are the accessibility checkers. So they go through, they help create alt text. They're helping find content, image content. So that's been really helpful. So that is sort of how we've built the book. And now I just want to talk to you a little bit about like the highlights. What is the book? What are we offering? Like what is so special about this? So it's hosted on Pressbooks. And if the institution is a Canvas LMS institution, because that's what Penn State uses, we have a fully integrated course. So the course can just be copied from Canvas Commons. And actually, I think you might do it from Pressbooks. Maybe not. I can't remember how this actually works. But if not, we have H5P content that is embedded directly in Pressbooks. So you could, in theory, not need to have Canvas, but still have access to all of the activities that a student at Penn State or who would be at a Canvas institution would be performing. We also made sure that as we're building this, this is not a book about AI. This is a book about communication with the added objective now of also helping create foundational AI literacy for students. And so we have scattered throughout the book what we call AI insights, and it's just little tips. So when they learn, for example, about the communication models in the first chapter, we have an AI insight, and it talks about them being aware of some of the arguments right now that AI is no longer a tool for people to communicate with each other or to build messages. AI now is a speaker and receiver. And what does that mean? So that's an example of an AI insight. Beyond the Podium insights are designed, they're little snippets of text that are designed to get the student aware of ethical implications and thinking beyond the podium. So this is more than just, hey, AI will impact how you talk to your friends if you use an email. This is, no, algorithmic bias and bias with data is problematic and it's going to impact large groups of people. That is worked into the book. And then something that I'm really excited about because part of my early dives in OERs was it's so much harder. It's so much extra work. Like it doesn't, if you agree to have a textbook provider, you get the full package. You get the slides, you get the quiz questions, you get all the ancillary materials. And in all of the OERs that I use for public speaking, that didn't exist. So I had to create them all from scratch or adapt what I had already, and half the time it didn't really work. So with this, we've created a menu and instructors can use what they want. They can download what they want. There's slides for every chapter. There's discussion questions for every chapter, and these can be for instructors who teach the class in an LMS, or these can be for instructors to guide the students and prompt them in conversations. We have in-class activities. We have assignments that are also in Canvas that instructors can copy, and then we also have lecture notes. And as you all know, because it's an OER, it's free. So that's one of the most exciting parts of this. So I went through this very quickly. I didn't intend to stay an hour today, but I am very curious. I'm happy to take questions, but I'm also very curious to hear stories and to hear thoughts, ideas, opinions, struggles that you all are facing and get some feedback. So this project, I should tell you where we're at. We now have all of the chapters. They've been revised and we're going through our accessibility checks. And I'm going through and ensuring that they all have the AI insights and the Beyond the Podium insights as an editor. And we still have about 6 months from the time that we are cleaning this up and making it student ready and the time that it will be published. So we have time. We have time to take feedback and to help create something really much more amazing. So thank you for listening, for those of you that are here, and I'm happy to hear from you now.
Is there any way that we can get access to it now?
Right now, no, but I will send you a link. Let me find it. I have a website. Oh, this is the call for proposals. Oh, I'm trying to remember. There was a website. I don't think we published it completely yet, but we have a website that will keep everyone updated. And then as soon as it is live, then we'll have the access link. So you can just automatically have access to it. So unfortunately, Glenda, right now, there's nothing. It's not in the press book yet. Well, a few chapters are, but it's not clean.
Do you have like
But I
one
guess,
do you
oh,
have
go ahead.
do you have like one example of it where we can really see how you integrated that into one lesson? Can
Yeah,
you?
I think I can do that. I'm just gonna pull up my chapter one content rather than pull up, I don't want to pull up the press books because it's just not ready yet. So let's see, let me go in here. I know a better way to do this. It'll be, without the flashy design, but I think it'll make a
Oh,
lot of
that's fine.
sense. You know, yeah,
That's
I
fine.
think, so let me go in here. Okay, let me get into the tab. Okay. I have it within multiple folders because there's so many people working on it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen now. Okay. So this is our living document for chapter one, and chapter one was written by me. It's a full rewrite. It's not remixed. It's completely new. And you can see here there's an introduction. You can see where the introduction is. Yes, yes, public speaking still matters, TikTok, TED Talks. And then we go into these individual sections. Now, within these individual sections, you can see this is where a Beyond the Podium insight would be. And right now in Pressbooks, we have them as like these isolated extra text box. And so this is one, knowing whether you aim to inform, persuade, or inspire isn't just for speeches, it shapes everyday decisions. And when you write a social media post, draft an email to a supervisor, or speak up in a community meeting, being intentional about your purpose helps you choose the right tone, evidence, and delivery. So that's an example of Beyond the Podium. It's just so much more like this book and these practices and these ideas, they have bigger impact. So more text, more text. Here is an AI insight. So this is another text box. So in this, we've talked, the whole section here is about how AI impacts communication. So you can see it's not really big, but here's their first AI insight for the text. While AI can make message creation faster, it can also distance you from your authentic voice if you rely on it without reflection. For example, AI-generated speeches often default to generalized, safe phrasing that may sound polished but lack personal resonance. And you can see that. So that's sort of examples of the insights. Now I'm looking for here's the first H5P activity. So this is what will be embedded in Pressbooks, but it also will be embedded. You can take it right to Canvas. So this first activity, it asks them to experiment with AI assisted communication. It's really basic. So this is just them using a documentation tool. So we're asking them to use a Gen AI tool and craft a short message and then compare it to their own version. So here we go. This is their prompt. Write a short paragraph trying to explain. This prompt is not for the AI. This prompt is for the student. This is what the H5P will prompt. Write a short paragraph trying to explain or persuade, and then choose a topic that you actually care about. So we have these examples. Then there's an open text box they'll type into. And then we ask them to go out and use an AI tool. At Penn State, because we're Copilot, we would typically recommend Copilot, but we're mindful of the fact that this was not just a Penn State book. And so we didn't choose any particular AI tool, and this is something that potentially can be adapted if instructors use this information. I know there are ChatGPT universities now, but that's sort of it. So then they have an open text box. Now they're going to copy and paste what AI said. They're going to ask AI to write a message, and then they compare and they reflect. And then we just have a wrap up. This is a general assignment that is embedded in all of my courses that are CAS 100 courses already. So I call it Conversations with Copilot. So it's not like this, but right now, and it's in its form now, I just have them, it was screenshot for a while, and now it's just to send me the link. And it's been really interesting to see students and how they get used to communicating with Copilot, but with AI, especially in the early days when there were students who didn't know how to talk to it. So it's been a fun sort of assignment. So I'm excited to have that rolled out to more. These are images. Some of the images for this text are AI created, and then some of the images for this text are from different repositories of CC licensed content. So you can see here, we just have these images. This is one that was also AI generated. We have another AI insight rolled in here. We have another H5P set, and this isn't an AI related activity. This one is just getting them thinking about transactional thinking. So it's a function of the communication process. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with communication in the sense of like theory of communication, but that's what that's about. So then we go on. Because this book is about being beyond the podium, we're talking more about like the broader scope of what communication does. And that the general theme of this book is that it's a space communication is used to create shared meaning about, like between people. And so what's that mean? Well, words live in people, context matters, and that's a little bit about that. So spot the context, we have another H5P activity that's embedded. Going to keep scrolling down so you can see we conclude, and then we have key takeaways for the students. And this is just a text box, like an individual text box that summarizes the big points and how they connect and what do you want the students to take away, and then our references. So that's sort of just that's just a basic preview. This is the one that has been edited by the students. It's incorporated the peer review. It is good to go, and it's in Pressbooks, but now we're ironing out just the questions like, oh, do we want a light bulb where it says insights? And our designer saying, oh, this needs to come to me in a Word file because it's easier this way, not a link, and the headings are all messed up. So yeah, that's where we're at in this process.
Well, it's going to be great.
I'm excited. Yeah.
Now, you've been working on this for 3 years?
No. So this came about. I am a 2024, 2025 Teaching and Learning with Technology Fellow. And so what that means as part of my fellowship is that the TLT carves out resources in the sense of human resources, basically. So they look at what it will take to get from step A to step B, and they build a team to assist you. And so I don't get paid. Nobody on the team gets paid, but we get significant support. And so in 2024, our team met, and our general purpose in the start was just to embed AI literacy objectives within the basic course. and we struggled. Oh, it took us about, I would say, 8 months to finally realize that the answer was an OER. That's the best way to go about doing this. It helps. We had talked about one single module that would go in a course versus like a menu for instructors to pick and choose what they wanted to put in the course. And none of that made sense. Like once we had looked at all of our research, this was the way to go.
You know what I like about it is that it really is a model, a complete model of how you could do this. Now, where did you get your AI literacy goals or outcomes?
So
Do
this
you
is
have a
from,
list of them, like something that I could use, like this is what I should be teaching in my class? Like I teach a bunch different things.
I'm I'm
So,
gonna I'm gonna show you the difficult version that we used, and then I'll sort of show you a cleaner sort of way to go about this. So this is our document. I want to not even touch it. This took us months. This is our document where we mapped all of our objectives. And so you can see here, we took every single chapter objective, we took discipline objectives. Within the discipline, there are behavioral, psychomotor, cognitive, affective, and attitudinal. And then we have AI literacy objectives. So you can see, I'm going to pull those down and show them to you here in a second. And then this is where we're at now. We have in a different folder the activities and the content and mapping those to the right objectives. So we want to make sure that we have balance. So are we having a balanced amount related to X, Y, and Z? So we used a framework that's pretty common. UNESCO has one. We used one that was developed. It was by Wynn and colleagues from, I think it's UCF, University of Central Florida. And so I'm going to pull this down. Oh, well, okay. I guess I'm not. So, well, let me show you this instead. No, best way to do this. So when we went through the text and we did this mapping, there were places where AI objectives sort of fit. And so we worked backwards. So if the AI literacy objective is to understand basic concepts, then chapter one might be a great place for them to be able to explain how AI impacts different types of public speaking. How does it impact message delivery? So we use the AI objective to then create a specific chapter objective. So that's sort of just this complicated way of talking about the mapping that we did. And here, everywhere in yellow are our specific content created objectives, AI objectives. So these are new. They're brand new. They're specific to the communication discipline. So analyze how free speech under the First Amendment applies to AI generated content. So we address that. We actually address that in our ethics chapter, and we get them thinking about. We talk about copyright and where this is right now. As far as AI generated content goes with the Copyright Office. And so where these actually are embedded then are within the textbook itself, but for these specifics, so understand basic, use and apply knowledge, evaluate and create, and articulate ethical concerns. This is part of the Gen AI literacy, or not Gen AI, I'm sorry, it was actually developed before Gen AI, but this is part of one particular AI literacy framework. And there's one that's a lot better now that just came out that's adapted this framework, and it has a fifth category, which is discipline specific. So have these 4 pathways and then make them make sense within a particular discipline. So I guess, Glenda, maybe I have my email. I could actually just send you the article that has the framework. It was developed for K through 12 space, but I think evaluate, understand, create, apply, ethics, and then discipline is like the goals, if that helps.
right. Do you want me to put my email in your chat?
Sure. Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
will do.
And I'll make a note. Yeah, I'll make a note to, oh, maybe I better not write on this. Oh, yes, I can write on this. I'll make a note to get you on our update website once it's ready, and then
Oh,
also to
excellent.
send you the article.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and also if you're interested in piloting it, so if you would like to roll it out in the spring semester, we're excited to encourage instructors to do that. So that would be one where we hope that you give us feedback. So it's, so that would be the hope. If you're going to use it, we would hope that you would give us some reflections, some directions, some thoughts and ideas. So it also is encouraging you to have a voice and a say in the way that we adapt this content.
Right. Well, I don't teach communications.
That's
I teach a bunch of different things. So
That's okay. Well, maybe we've talked
yeah,
about this
I'm
being,
interested in doing that if I'm
yeah, yeah. Or even just chapters. This is a pick and choose for faculty. So there's sort of like there's this uncomfortableness with faculty and adapting new resources. And this is new to me. I'm learning it because I'm an early career scholar. And it's like once you have a system in place and you have a textbook that you like to use and you create all the content for the course, you really don't want to change because you know what you're going, like instructors, once you build content, you have all of your lectures down. It's easier to recycle it than it is to start from scratch. So there's resistance. There's definitely resistance to, oh, I don't know if I should adapt a new text. I don't know. I like what I have already. And I think that one good thing that we've been sort of talking about as we create this book is that you can have grab and go chapters. Like you can, like, so you, for example, could look at the presentation aids chapter and embed it within a business communication course or within a English course. I think it's helpful in
Mhm.
that way. Just a thought.
How about your students at Penn State? Do they have enough technology, like to cut and paste and to do screenshots and stuff? Do they come in already knowing how to do that? Our students, a lot of them don't,
It's so
believe it or
interestingly,
not.
I do believe it. I do believe it. I taught for the last 6 years, I taught at a branch campus of Penn State. We had about 300 students, and almost all were in precarious situations. We don't have on-campus housing at the campus I taught at. And so these were students, it was very much a community college, although it wasn't, it was a Penn State branch, but it was community college type students. And so at the campus I'm at now, these are students who are coming in with a lot of the skills that they need. And so it's not a problem for them. But I definitely had classes at my previous campus where I dedicated time in my courses to sit down and show them how to create a Word document, how to save a Word document, where to find that saved Word document, how to do a print screen, depending on which browser you're in. And so that's not embedded within this book. And you're making me think about that accessibility notion in this. That's not something we have. We just don't. But yeah, skills wise, I would say that at Penn State across the board, it runs the gamut. We have so many different skills that we see as they're coming in.
Yeah. Oh, teaching is fun.
Yeah. Well, it's also interesting because the digital divide, you hear about the digital divide and the digital divide. But one thing there is, but it's not about like students have access. They just don't know how to use it. So all these students who don't know how to screenshot and upload it to Canvas, they have phones. We don't have to worry. They have internet connected phones. That's not the issue. They just haven't developed the skills. And that's an inequity in information access and the ability to apply that information. And that's the one study that we did. And so that's something for this text that we're really trying to be mindful of.
And then to go to the metacognition is that, are you realizing that you can transfer knowledge from one thing to another thing from your mobile phone to the computer? And some people can't make that little leap.
No, right.
That's
And it's very, yeah. And it's, yeah.
so
Yeah,
you
very
have to do,
special.
to me, I'm all about explicit metacognition training and to bring
I
out
like that.
those little things. Yeah.
We have a class. I just learned of it 2 days ago. It's not even a class. So one of our industry, I don't know how to explain his role. He's like an industry connector. So he takes in students and creates mentorships and internships and connects out there to the real world. And he told us on his own time, he runs like a professional skills development class. And it's all about, he doesn't want students who just need a credential. He wants to try to find those students who have gaps. And the course, they come once a week. It's at nighttime. It's like a networking type event. And then they learn what you're talking about, these metacognitive skills. So they learn what is critical thinking and what does it mean to apply it in your class and what are time management skills? Why are they important? Because yeah, it's trying to help facilitate that gap also.
Right.
Yeah, thank you for being so transparent and showing us how you're integrating AI into your communications course. That's really neat. Um,
Super.
because we don't think about that. We think of communication being, oh, we get up and make a presentation, but the communication skill is so wide that AI is going to become increasingly more important with that, and that literacy skills is, so essential.
Yeah. They're self-reinforcing. AI, as AI becomes more important, communication will become more important, and vice versa.
Hmm.
Yeah. Do we have any more questions?
Notice I put my face out here, so when we were communicating, it was going to be
Thank
a
Yeah.
little
you.
bit better.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm so used to it though. I do online teaching also. So I do mix in person and online and the black box, you know, it's hard. So I appreciate that you came on camera. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great. It's so well developed, and the OER resource. I think we all would like to have something like that when we teach from a text. I have ESL background.
Oh yeah.
I taught for 5 years in ESL, and the OER is what people really are trying to push for, and they have been for a while. But to have something so well organized and have H5P content, which is more interactive, and then have that AI assignment integration where you're not using AI to solve problems, but to support your critical thinking. I think
Yeah.
that's the ideal.
So
I'm teaching English ELA too, beginning, and so I've looked and looked for all the OER on that, and I'm finally using Putting English to Work. It's a little bit old, but um, and then I'm using AI to. I took the Putting English to Work has 3 levels, and I'm using the level 1, and it has a little worksheet with it, and then it has about a 30-minute video. And I just took all the videos for there's 20 topics. I put all the videos through H5P to make an interactive book.
oh yeah.
And so now I've got the transcript for all of them, but the level of the questions and the things that go with it are all too high level. They're not at level A. So I got to figure out a
Mm.
way to take the content and get it down. So it's not talking about
AI.
teacher, it's talking to teacherly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just amazed at AI. What
Yeah, I love using AI for voice. So I have actually started running my syllabi. I'm trying to create liquid syllabi and be a little, but they're not accessible. So I'm in this weird space of really trying to focus on my syllabi as not just like administrative documents, but like they're artifacts that they have norms and values and assumptions. And so that's sort of a just a space that I'm at with the syllabi. But AI has been really neat because I could feed it my syllabi and have it take different roles. Like, if
Mm.
you saw this syllabus as a first generational student, what would you think? And what
Oh,
could be improved?
excellent.
Yeah, or if you were a minority or a marginalized student, what's missing? It's helpful. It's
Oh
like
my gosh.
my language wasn't very inclusive. And I didn't realize that. And it was not student centered, but it was content centered. And so AI has made me more mindful as I create my syllabi and think through it. It's not perfect, but I'm learning. So AI has helped me with that.
Oh, that is great.
I think one problem, one issue that I'm worried about, and I don't really know how to just maintain this, is exactly what you talked about, which is the text will become out of date. And that's why I'm hoping that it's not an AI book. It's a book that's about, it's speaking beyond the podium. It's about connecting. It's about shared meaning. But I have seen projects like the book I use now is almost 10 years out of date, and it's out of date. Like it really is. And there's one or two versions of it, but even those are out of date. And I guess with the publisher, I think that they probably fund it and then they charge people for new editions. But with this, I don't know what's the best way to keep it up to date. So what I'm hoping is that so many of us have contributed to it that so many of us will care. And so what that means is if there's a big update in a year, if something shifts, someone might say, "Oh, you know that chapter I wrote or that assignment I created, I just need to update it slightly." And then it's just as easy as getting on the press books and doing that. I'm hoping that's what can keep it just relevant and help resonate as time passes, but I'm not sure if that's the way.
It seems like that would work.
I hope. I don't
Yeah.
know.
You just put each year that you update it.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah.
I do have a question, Tiffany.
Yeah, sure.
How did you go about putting together a team to work on the OER? And because we're all at different levels or have different outlooks on things and
Yeah.
outcomes. How do you go about starting building a good team?
Well, great
Sorry,
question.
sorry.
I am still, oh, there we go. Hi, Karen. There you go. Thanks. Hi. I, I'm navigating this because I have some teams that really are amazing together and some teams that really struggle. For this particular team, who there is someone at an administrative level who looks at strengths and personalities of the staff and then the faculty project, and they put a lot of time and energy into building that team. And so
Wow.
I didn't select anyone. So I'm the first like point person for me was someone called a faculty engagement specialist. And that is her paid role at Penn State for the Teaching and Learning with Technology Center. So this is also, I recognize I have a lot of privilege with this. It's been really paved for me in certain ways. Then they added a researcher when we decided that we wanted to test this and see how effective it is. They added a someone from their staff who is a learning designer specifically, who builds technology driven learning content. We have someone who runs our media center. And then finally, they budgeted for me to have a student because I really advocate for the student as partner model, not like student assistant or student doing my grunt work. Like, no, like she's full participatory person. Her name will be credited in this book. And so I was part of the hiring process, but they also did all of that work and legwork. So I was very lucky. They picked a winning team and helped facilitate this.
Thank you.
Yeah, or I guess one more thing, Karen, that I would say, because I don't know if that's helpful, if you're thinking about putting together your own team and how to do this, I'm working with a team on another project right now, and we're focused like on a regional AI literacy effort. And we are different generations, different AI literacy levels, different tech literacy levels. One of our group members had never even used Google Docs. And, she had no clue what was going on. And there's been a lot of bumps in these roads. But it's been helpful, like that diversity in generation, the diversity in viewpoints. The only thing that's not diverse is that it's an all-female group. I would say that we're very different from each other other than that. And I I think that just I, I think that the number one commitment maybe has to be grace. Like everybody in the team has to be willing to recognize everybody else on the team is human. Right there. That's what it takes. Like that's what I think for me. That's what I need on a good team. We're all human.
Wow.
And
All
how
really
much
excellent
time?
questions. I think we're running out of time, but I guess one more question will be okay.
Okay. how much time should one put into something like this? Do you call it your baby and dump all your time and energy and resources into it, or do you just add pieces here and there? What's the best approach?
Oh, that's a great question. So my passion is actually learning. That's what I love. I love to learn. And so that's why the education world is the perfect job for me, because it sets up me being able to learn. And so what happens is, because I'm so invested in AI and education and thinking and thought and learning, every time I read something more, I have little threads. And so I'm thinking, like, how does this apply? So in the Federal Register, the call for comments and the new AI literacy definition, I thought through, oh, this is relevant to this text, but it's also relevant to these three other projects. I don't see this as like my baby. I put a lot of time into it, but I don't, it's a project for everyone. It's our project. And so I am putting a lot of time in it, I guess I would say, and I'm being mindful of that time, and that time that I'm putting in is useful for other personal projects. But I see this very much as like I don't know, for the good of the community. So it's not like my publication, if that makes sense. It's like it's an ecosystem. It's something that's being developed by many people for many people. And I'm just one voice in the process.
We always need the best model. We always need a
Yeah.
real good model to follow.
Yeah.
It took me years to figure out that models work. If you model for the student, they'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think this is a really great session. I
I
think
loved
that
it.
the small group, in a way, really made me feel like I was connected with all these great questions. And Tiffany, thank you so much for your time and all that, being so open about everything. We're gonna definitely follow you and anything that you have to share with us.
Yeah.
Just so people know, they can access the recording of this on the Zoom events homepage. And yeah, we're excited for the future of your project, Tiffany.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye,
Best of
everyone. Thank
luck.
you. Yeah.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much. Have a great afternoon.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.